They had me feel fooled too.
Little chopper back towards second. Kinsler tags the runner one.
Good morning. Welcome to the Sports Spotlight. I'm your host, Rizwan. Every Sunday morning, we bring to you all things sports by shining the spotlight brightly on various aspects of the world of sport. And yes, there's a lot to do today. In about 21 minutes, well, when we come back from the 10:30 break, we're gonna have Manny joining me, and we're gonna be at that point. We're gonna be shining the spotlight brightly onto the NBA playoffs. We're gonna do a lot of cricket. You know, for months and months, maybe almost a year, we've always trained the spotlight to start things off on the world of cricket. Today, we're gonna do it a little differently. I want to cover general sports. There's a few things that we need to talk about today in this segment that's going to end at 10:30 with the ad break. When we come back, Manny's going to be joining us, and we're going to do the NBA playoffs. That's probably going to go into beyond 11, and then after that, we're going to be focusing on the IPL and PSL, specifically the PSL and the great match, the final. Yes, we're going to talk all about that in the next couple of hours. I'm your host, Rizwan, and as usual, we are together on a Sunday morning, 10 a.m. So here we go. Let's get going. I've got a few things that I want to talk about in the Major League Baseball world. You know, for here, our folks here in the DFW area, obviously our reach is worldwide, international, national, but the studio sits right here in the heart of DFW. So our focus is often on the Texas Rangers for baseball, for the Mavericks for basketball, and of course, the king of sports, football. When it comes to football, it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys, who actually had themselves a pretty good draft that we talked about last week. So today, our focus, since I said the spotlight is shining on the game of baseball right now, let's talk about the Texas Rangers. You know, after the disappointment of last year, and yeah, it was disappointing. Look, they had the best pitching in the game last year, but the bats just went quiet all of a sudden. You know, all the big boppers, and it caused the Rangers to do quite a bit of introduce a lot of change in their batting lineup. You know, Simeon's gone. They brought in the high-priced Nimmo from the Mets. Mets, by the way, having their own set of issues. So there was hope that Langford was going to continue to develop. There was hope that Carter was going to come back. There was hope. As it turns out, it hasn't been great. It hasn't been a great turnaround, and led by your big boppers, right? So Wyatt Langford has been hurt, has missed some games, but even when he's in there, he's batting 200, you know, below the Mendoza line, last check. Corey Seager, barely above the Mendoza line. I think he's sitting at 210, 215. Jake Berger, after the great start to the season, has just absolutely plummeted and not getting it done. Flat not getting it done. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. The high price, look, before I get to the high priced Nimmo that they've free agent that they've brought in, there are a couple of just a couple highlights. First, Alejandro Osuna, who, granted, has only been in for the last 8-9 games. He's only started 7 games, but not batting terribly well, but compared to the rest of the team, compared to today's MLB, 250 is not terrible. 250 with a double, 4 out of 16, 2 RBI, right? He's making things happen a little bit. Had himself a big hit the other day. But Ezekiel Duran has appeared to finally turned the corner. Of course, unturning the corner is Josh Smith, but we'll get to that. We're talking about the highlights for the Rangers right now. So Ezekiel Duran appears to have finally turned the corner. He's batting .277 in 25 games, 19 of which he has started. 65 at-bats, 18 hits, 5 doubles, 1 home run, 3 stolen bases without a caught stealing, contributing in the field. So, yeah, I think he's finally turned the corner. And then, of course, as I said, the high-priced acquisition, the free agent that they brought in to fix things, not just in the batting lineup, but at the top of the batting lineup. Brandon Nimmo, 32 games, has started every one of them. There was a scare last week where he felt hamstring tightness and left the game in the 5th or 6th inning. But he was able to come right back the next day, had himself 2 hits. So 32 games played, 32 games started, batting .302. .302 in today's MLB is no joke at all. I mean, it's just not, right? New player, new team, new environment, and batting .300, 38 hits out of 126. Of course, he's at the top of the lineup. He's gonna be getting a lot of plate appearances. 126 at bats, 38 hits, 7 doubles, a triple, and 4 home runs. 12 RBI at the top of the. He's your 4th RBI producer on the team. On the team as your leadoff guy. Only 1 stolen base with 1 caught stealing. That's not great, but 13 walks, 38 hits, 13 walks, good on base percentage. I'll take it. And then sitting above him is the offensive player of the month for the Rangers. Yes, Josh Young. Josh Young, friends and neighbors, absolutely is over the injury-plagued 2025 that he had. He's looking like an all-star, playing really well, really in the zone right now, seeing the ball, putting it in play. He only has 4 home runs, but a lot of that power is actually it's been coming recently. Actually, I take that back. He has not hit a home run. So, yeah, that's even better. He's hitting it for average, has been batting really well. I believe he is on a 9-game hit streak now. 10-game hit streak now. Now, the Rangers did lose yesterday, 5-1 to Detroit, but they won Friday night 5-4 and going for the rubber game, going for the series victory, and maybe get back to 500. They've just been hovering around that mark. Lose one, win one, lose one, win one. But that's what I'm talking about. The overall disappointment. So Josh Young, absolutely shining. Ezekiel Duran, as I mentioned, and Brandon Nimmo. But that's it. That's the highlights. Because Wyatt Langford has missed a bunch of games, as I said, only been around for 20. He started those, but batting .238. 238 with 3 doubles, 2 triples and a home run, but that ain't gonna cut it. He has 3 stolen bases without getting caught. But yeah, Jake Berger, after that hot start, he's down to 223. Corey Seager, 212. Jock Peterson, no better than last year, hovering right around 205. Danny Jansen, a couple of big hits, but 205. Josh Smith, 202. And Evan Carter, 177. That's brutal, man. 17 out of 96. That's just not going to cut it. So the batting has to continue to improve, continue to turn things around. But hey, the pitching, as I said, is doing its job. You know, it's not as good as last year. Evo has had a difficult time getting going. But I think in spite of that, the last couple of outings from him looking good. And maybe he's turned the corner, found himself again. But even with all of that, right now in the American League, in the whole American League, there's one team that has allowed less runs than the Rangers, and that's the Yankees. I don't want to get started on the Yankees. Now, over on the senior circuit, the National League, Atlanta is one that has allowed less runs than the Rangers and the Dodgers. So, yeah, I would say the Rangers pitching, in spite of Evo only having found himself recently, the pitching is doing its job, but the bats have to wake up. The bats have to do their job, man. This ain't going to cut it. Right now, they're sitting 1 game back of the Athletics because guess what? What's one of the most disappointing teams of the Major League Baseball season so far? The Houston Astros, sitting at 13-21 in last place. But look, they're in last place, only 4.5 games out because nobody's running away with it. The Athletics are leading the league, and the Rangers are, the conference, the Western Conference, and the Texas Rangers are 1 game out, but they have got to pick things up, or who knows? Major League Baseball is such a marathon this season. I wouldn't be shocked if the Astros come back and take the division. I would not be shocked if Seattle comes back and takes the division. Seattle, no slouches themselves, right? They've given up only 137 runs, but again, teams struggling with the bat, man. It's just today's Major League Baseball. Unless you're the Dodgers, right? Of course, the Houston Astros being in last place, this is what worries me. They have scored the most runs in the American League. And they're right at the top, right? The Dodgers have scored 171. The Houston Astros have scored 175. So it's their pitching that's been disappointing them because they've given up 200 runs, the most in the American League. And, as I said, the national circuit is pitching better than the Americans. So they have given up more runs than anybody else. That's the reason they're sitting at 13-21 and in last place. They get their pitching figured out. The bats are already hot. Houston's going to be a problem. So the Rangers need to figure things out as quickly as they can with the bat if they have any hope of getting into the playoffs. And boy, as it was proven, as the Rangers themselves proved 3 years ago, you get into the playoffs, get hot, anything can happen. And that anything that year was the Rangers bringing the championship. Yeah, the World Series championship to Arlington. Can that happen again this year? Not looking like it. But as I said, Major League Baseball is a long marathon of a season. So that's where we are. I'm going to keep the baseball highlights going in the behind the scenes, but get to baseball, but the college of variety. Yeah. We've talked about it a few times, by the way. If you just tuned in, you're listening to the Sports Spotlight with your host, Rizwan. And in a few minutes, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, Manny's going to be joining me, and we're going to dive into the NBA playoffs. Wanted to talk about college baseball. One, because our beloved Diamond Dogs, Mississippi State, yeah, they're having themselves a pretty good year. Came into the weekend as the number 10th ranked team, and they came not here, not in DFW, but just down the street, down the road, down in Austin, playing against your UT Austin Longhorns. Yes, clash of the Titans. Texas ranked 4th, Mississippi State ranked 10th, and it has proven to be a clash of the Titans. A pitching duel on Monday night, Friday night, between the two aces, won by Texas 3-1. But then Mississippi State came back yesterday and won the second match to even the series 7-4, and it was a bit more dominating than that. Now, it was dominated late because it was close. I think Mississippi State led 1-0, but in the 6th or the 7th inning, they opened things up, got to their 7 runs. I think they were up 7-1, and then the Longhorns scored 3 in the bottom of the 9th. In the end, Mississippi State wins 7-4. So it was fairly dominating for the Bulldogs, which is to be expected. These are, these teams. That victory pulled the Diamond Dogs, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, even in the win column with Texas at 14. And where are we sitting in the SEC standings? So we'll get to the rankings in a minute. But the SEC standings, Georgia leads the way at 17-6. And then 2 through 8. Maybe I'll remove that. 2 through 6 is all sitting within a couple of games of each other. Texas A&M is in second place, 2.5 games back of Georgia at 14-8. With that loss yesterday, Texas Longhorns are now tied with A&M at 14-8. Auburn 14-9. 5th place Mississippi State 14-9. 3 games back, both of these guys. And then 1.5 games behind them in the 6th spot is Alabama, but I included them because, yes, they've got a lot of losses, 11 losses, but they do have 13 wins, sitting just 1 win back of the 3 teams tied for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So it's a bit of a logjam. And actually, the logjam continues. That's why I was saying I removed 7 and 8, because 7, 8, 9, 10, all 4 of those teams are tied at 12 and 11. 5 games back. So it's a murderer's row, which is to be expected, right? The SEC. I wanna get into the rankings a little bit. It's understandable. Now they've been the SEC teams have been beating on each other for a while since the SEC portion of the schedule started. Now, of course, they still during the weekdays, weeknights, they will continue to get some out of conference games, but weekends are dedicated to conference matchups. So the SEC teams have absolutely been just fighting each other tooth and claw every weekend, as is evidenced by the fact that Texas, with those 8 losses, is sitting at 4th in the nation. Georgia, leading the SEC with those 6 wins, now has come up all the way up to 5th in the rankings, because they had 5 losses out of conference, but sitting at 34-11, they're at 5. So UCLA, North Carolina, and Georgia Tech are 1, 2, 3. Texas 4, Georgia 5. Then you got Oregon State sitting in there at 6. Then you've got A&M, Auburn 7 and 8. Then Coastal Carolina at 9. Mississippi State rounding it out at 10. So 5 SEC teams in the top 10. And 5 more in the next 15, leaving the SEC with 10 teams in the top 25. So looking forward to this rubber game between the Mississippi State Bulldogs and the Texas Longhorns coming up later today. For now, we got to take a short break, and then we're going to come back. Manny's going to be joining me, and we're going to switch the spotlight, swivel it over to shine onto the NBA playoffs. And crazy, crazy stuff happened yesterday. As I said, not here, but as I was saying, talking about today and the craziness of the NBA playoffs, down go the Celtics and long live the process, at least for this round. All of that and more coming up on the Sports Spotlight with your host, Rizwan, right after this break.
This is Radio Azad, streaming in Dallas, Fort Worth, and all